selling them that much water, allocating that much of our precious water is worth having them in our city limits.
Where did we come up with the 50,000?
I actually talked to Mr. Kisling, who's the former director of the Department of Commerce, about what a large-scale industrial user would use, and I'll put words in his mouth. He said somewhere between 30 and 70,000 gallons per day. So 50 seemed like a good number somewhere.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Coleman? I know this, we've had a moratorium for about 2 years on our water applications, especially outside of city limits. So we just want to protect what we have. We still got issues. We're working, trying to correct our issues with the GMC Trust, but we've got to protect what we have at this time and protect the users that we already have that's using water in the city.
So if I'm hearing it right, if they are a large user, we might not want them.
So, yes, and that's part of the process that Mr. Downey is going to look at for us over the next couple of months is utilizing the conditional use permit, which that process is already laid out in the zoning code. But what this will do is allow the planning commission and then eventually the council to evaluate, you know, if you're going to use those many, you're going to use 50,000 gallons of water a day, are you bringing one job to the community, or are you bringing 100 jobs to the community? Is there another benefit that would say, hey, it's a good idea to allocate that large amount of water to one particular user?
Further questions? I would entertain a motion then to adopt the resolution.
Motion to adopt resolution 2026-118 CC.
I'll second.
I'll go take roll.
Ben Whitt,
Yes, ma'am.
Christina Short,
Yes.
Brandon Alley,
Yes.
Chuck Kemper,
Yes.
and Michael Scout.
Yes. All right, item B2 is our monthly update, the June report on the BMIA projects update. Mr. Downey.
Thank you. Members of the board, a much shorter report this month. Again, we'll try and as requested, we'll do the long form about once every 6 months or so. Do have some updates from after this report was done on these projects. All of the utility plans for the Academy of Blanchard have been submitted to the Department of Environmental Quality and the Department of Transportation for their review. That's 2 waters and 1 sewer each. We haven't gotten confirmations back from any of them yet, so they're once that happens, we expect to see them move fairly expeditiously on the extension of service. We are aware of what the intent is as far as the temporary buildings and getting moving to host school in August. We've looked through their initial submittals of building permit applications. There's some stuff that was missing. We've been going back and forth with them. We're actively watching the site to make sure that we're able to review things and make sure that they're right before they get placed on the site. As far as the 70th Street water line, there's a resolution on the council agenda that we'll talk about at that point in time, but that should get us quite a good ways on the easement acquisition. Glenn Sullivan and Associates provided revised boring and material plans on Friday. As you can see, Mr. Standridge is not here this week, so we will look at those one more time next week, make sure everybody's good with that. We're going to anticipate getting those out to bid as soon as we can.
We will double and triple check quantities
Yes.
This thing has changed 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
We Roger pointed out, let's try to get this one right.
But 100%, we agree with that.
Yeah.
The 12-inch water lines to the TIF 3 site, that project is moving forward. We haven't seen any pay apps. Waiting to see things from GSA before we can bring them to you. And the final inspection for the CDBG downtown water line project is scheduled for July 15th, which is tomorrow. So we anticipate a project closeout resolution at the August 11th meeting of probably both the BMIA and the City Council, because it will be appropriate for both. Are there any questions from the board on any of those items?
Mr. Downey, I do have a question, I guess.
Yeah.
The emails we've received from ODOT over the last couple of days, those are for the permits for us to bore under 76 as part of the 70th Street project.
Yes. So 70th Street, we've got they're processing the ODOT permits as well.
It's also to parallel 62
And yes,
on that side. We already have our OTA permit. Because that really didn't change much, but when we started changing and trying to figure out services and that kind of thing, we did not ever submit to ODOT, so we've just done that. Doesn't take any time, we'll get those permits pretty quick.
So those are the final state project or state permits we have to apply for to move forward with this project.
Yes.
yes, we already have the DEQ permits.
We have DEQ, we have OTA.
Any other questions?
On the first one on the Academy of Blanchard, just as a practical reference as far as working with ODOT, or DEQ, and the process, of course, they have, obviously, we haven't got the okay from DEQ to even start putting in the water line, correct?
That's correct.
Plus, it's got to be put in, and then they have to get it flushed and back to cleared and everything in order to be able to turn that line on.
All of those things are correct, sir.
What would be a logical estimate of when all that stuff could be done, and they can open?
I've seen people do things in fairly aggressive ways. I cannot anticipate exactly how fast they get all of their permits back from DOT and DEQ. I was on a call with DOT yesterday about the parallel alignment. They had some questions. They're getting some review, some things fixed there. The project in and of itself, once they start it, if they move in the same manner that, for instance, our force main contractor went out there, it's fairly reasonable to think that they could get that project installed and online in 3 to 6 weeks. I think it would take at least 3 to do the construction, and then any inspections, any punch list items, things like that. Now that's fairly aggressive, but we've seen it happen literally just with this last contract that we had. So it depends on who they get and how motivated they are to move.
Okay, nothing's impossible, it's just getting everybody to play on the
Yep.
same.
They get some of our other contractors, like the US 62 extension, it might be 2 years.
I don't anticipate they'll do that.
I don't anticipate that. Am I wrong? US 62 took forever.
Now, so, yeah. Okay.
Sure.
All right. Anyone else have any questions for Mr. Downey? Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. Item C is the approval of the consent agenda, items 1 through 8 on the BMIA agenda. Does anyone have anything that they would like to pull out for discussion? Seeing there is none, I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Okay.
1 through 8.
All right, second by Counselor Witt.
Brandon Alley,
Yes.
Ben Witt,
Yes, ma'am.
Christina Short,
Yes.
Chuck Kemper,
Yes.
and Michael Scout.
Yes. Seeing nothing was pulled for discussion, item E is public comments. We have anyone signed in to make public comments? Yeah, Chris, if you would please check that for me.
I don't think.
Okay. All right, item F is staff or council comments. No action can be taken, but for information that needs to be brought up. Does anyone have anything to bring up under the MIA? We're talking at once tonight. See if that carries over to city council meeting.
Enforcement, I was really surprised at how quick they actually got that line put in.
That was a contractor that we really like to bid our stuff.
He had a mission.
Yeah, they've kind of said, you know, hey, we want the city to look good after this. And so the company's name was We Construction out of the Goldsby, Washington area.
Okay.
We really like it when they get the bid on our job.
Good. All right. Seeing there is nothing else, it's 6:16, and let's adjourn the MIA meeting. And it is 6:16, and we will convene the city council meeting. Call it to order. Ms. Scott, will you take roll again, please?
Ben Witt,
Yes, ma'am.
Brandon Alley,
Yes.
Christina Short,
Yes.
Chuck Kemper,
Yes.
and Michael Scout.
Yes.
We have a quorum.
Okay, let me get my other packet open here. There we go. All right, item B1 is discussion resolution 2026-110-CC is on the approval of the services for retail attractions.
Mayor, members of the City Council, Retail Attractions has been working with the city, had worked previously with the city for a while, and joined us in October, I think, of last year, and has done a great job of bringing attention to the development community, the commercial development community, about Blanchard. Mr. Kisling, who is one of the principals in Retail Attractions LLC, is here to give you a brief presentation about kind of what they do and what they found in the city.
Mr. Keys, if you'll turn that mic on there, and appreciate it. Thank you.
Hold on.
Can you hear me all right? All right. Mr. Coleman, thank you for that introduction.
Here's your mouse. Have it as you will.
Mayor, council members, it is an honor to be here, and it's an honor to work with you. It really is. I would also love to introduce my beautiful wife, who's with us this evening. We are 3 months into having our first grandchild. And so if you walk within 10 feet of her, you will probably see a picture of that grandchild this evening. We are proud grandparents for sure. As I head into this presentation this evening, it's hot outside. It's the dog days of summer, but I can see college football season ahead of me. And the reason why is because Big 12 media days have happened, SEC media days are happening. It's that time of year when you start thinking about football. And one thing that's interesting to me whenever I listen to those press conferences is the way coaches talk about the way they spent their summer or the spring. And it's not that they just were watering the grass and making sure that all the lines were in place. They've been out on the road. They've been out trying to find players, trying to find quarterbacks, trying to find linebackers. You can't just sit there in Stillwater or in Norman and just expect that players are going to show up. I would relate that a little bit to our job for you with the community of Blanchard. We are out every day telling your story. And even though I hate NIL, there may be some time someday where we may have to put some money where our mouth is too. But at this point, It's all about going out there and telling the story. What are some of the needs? What are some of the wants that we have? And I will tell you that retail development is a full contact sport, and you have got to stay in front of folks all the time. And that's our job. Every week we're in front of different retailers and different developers. And so I wanted to tell you today a little bit about how we've been doing it so far for these first 6-7 months. But I'm going to go through some boring stuff also with your facts and figures. And the reason why is because we've got to develop our message for these retailers of coming here. You can't just say we're part of the Oklahoma City metro area. There's a message to be shared. And I think as we look at the numbers here, some of them will shock you, but some of them also will become very clear of what our selling points are for this community. Which button should I push?
Just push the right button, or move the wheel.
Up there. And there's my whole presentation. This is the process that we go through. It's very simple. We start with data. We're going to identify what your gaps are, what people are leaving town or leaving this market to go purchase. And so that gives us our gap of who we can go after. Our sites, once we've identified where some of those gaps are, we try to identify retailers that could fill that gap. And each one of them have a very specific type of site that they're looking for, either an existing building or a new building, a certain type of frontage, a certain traffic count in front of them. And so we start working on the sites, we work on matching those two together, and then we assemble the deal. And that's whenever I stand in front of you and say, here's our deal, and are you willing to participate in that? That's the process. Right now, we're really working on the data and the sites side of it. The match will come later. Some of the things that we've been involved with lately, I didn't put San Antonio on there, even though I know that some of you were in San Antonio. But we just recently got back from the International Council of Shopping Centers International Conference in Vegas. About 80% of the LOI, the letters of intent with retailers, are signed every year at that conference. There were 25,000 people there this year. And Jennifer and I spent 2 very full days walking around telling your story, and had your flash drives that we were able to hand out to folks with a lot of your marketing materials. We've been working on the local commercial real estate, finding out where our sites are they available, or we have willing sellers, what does our land prices look like, same with the landowners. But the big ones for us this first 6 months has been retail and developer discussions, getting them interested about the market, letting them know what's going on here. And you've got some exciting things. I will tell you, the new golf course coming in here gets a lot of people's attention. A lot of folks had no idea that was coming in, and that's going to drive a lot of traffic here to this community. The city manager, Mr. Coleman, called me whenever I sent this to him yesterday, and he says, we don't want to look at the 20-mile radius. This is 20 miles out from Blanchard. The reason I am presenting to you 20 miles, so I'm going to show you some of the city limit numbers also, but 20 miles is what every retailer looks at, because they're not just interested in what's within your city limits sign. Your city limit line means absolutely nothing to them. If they've got another store in Norman or in Moore or Newcastle, they don't want to, or they want to at least be aware that they're going to be cannibalizing some of their own sales. Or if a competitor is in the market, just knowing where they're at and whether they want to come in. So this is the numbers that they look at. And as I present these numbers to you, I want you to think, does some of these not look right? Does some of these maybe look off a little bit, and maybe we need to take a little deeper look into them? Because these are the numbers that our retailers are looking at, and we want to make sure that they're telling our story. On the population, we're talking about basically a 10,000 people population. But whenever you get out to 20 miles, you're talking about Norman, you're talking about Moore, you're talking about Newcastle, you're all the way up to Valley Brook, you're capturing Chickasha. So you've got a very significant population base that you're competing against. That is really your competition, is who's within that 20-mile radius. I've thrown in things like median age. You're kind of right in the ballpark on that. Bachelor's degree, you're above the state average on that. Here's going to be our story, though. Average household income. We're going to look at all of these numbers of what people are spending money on, but the money is in Blanchard. That's where the paychecks are. That if you want a bricks and mortar store in this market, Blanchard is where you should be, because that's where the money is. 124,000 versus 94,000 statewide, and the rest of your 20-mile area is bringing you down to 78,000. That is the story that I see from the data. Per capita income, of course, is going to be higher also. Your net worth is absolutely through the roof. I don't know that I've seen numbers like that across the state. Your average household size is about the same. Your vacant housing was really low. I'd be curious if you guys have any thoughts on that. But that came in very, very low, which would be good for housing developers that would want to come into the market. And I just always think it's interesting of how many household vehicles you've got. You've got more money than the rest of the state, so you probably have more vehicles. Your commute time is a little high within city limits, higher than your state average and 20 miles. That means people that live, this would be people who live here in town, are probably driving a little bit further to go to work than most of the others around. Average age of home is actually pretty new compared to 20 mile and statewide. Your rents came in really low, and I don't know why that would be. If you have any thoughts on that, I would be interested. But the bottom line is what we're selling. The folks in Blanchard is spending just over $200 million a year on retail expenditures in the middle of an $8.7 billion market. So if you're looking at bricks and mortar, if you're looking at something retail, this would definitely be a place to do it. So here's your gaps. So the way that they figure these gaps, or the way that we figure it, we work with probably 7 or 8 different data sources that we pull information in order to run these numbers. And for a town of 10,000 people, or a market of 500,000 people, there is an estimate of how much people within that area would spend on men's clothing, typically. How much they would spend on sporting goods. And then we can also pull the data from all of the retailers within that area to see how much is actually spent in that market and see where the gap is. And so anytime you see a gap on these slides, those are dollars that people are leaving the community to go purchase somewhere else. That's what we're trying to sell, that gap. There's a $100 million gap somewhere. We want to be able to get in front of a retailer to say, people are leaving town to buy this item. Why don't you come and set up a store here? So, I built all that up.
Want me to move it for you?
Yeah, if you want to, that'd be fine. Oh, it's not me. I will tell you that I am technology.
Tonight.
Yeah, there we go. So the first one is clothing and accessories. You've got a gap of $288 million. And remember, this is the 20 mile, so this is not just within your community. But you've got significant gaps in men's clothing. Your women's clothing, there's still about a $20 million gap in there. Stores that sell for all different children, men's and women, probably your biggest gap in their shoes. You're pretty close on that one, but this is a market I believe that we can go after for this, because especially if you've got your revenue, your money is here in Blanchard, this is where people would want to be buying clothes. So $280 million, $88 million gap. Furniture, you've got a big gap there as well. Floor coverings is pretty close. Other home just captures a whole bunch of stuff. Normally we're just focusing on the furniture side of it, and there's a $100 million gap within this market also. Pretty telling. Electronics, massive gap in electronics. Go ahead. I'm not going to spend a lot, which by the way, I sent this presentation to Roger you guys, I hope that you can share it with all of them. Plus, all of this information is on our retailattractions.com website for those of you watching at home. If you want to dig down deeper into these numbers, you can see them. But I won't go into a lot of detail today, but you can at least see where some of these blue gaps are. 168 million on building and gardening. Somewhat of a gap on home centers. Hardware, you're right there. I know you have a pretty robust hardware store here in town. But we do have a little bit of room there. Food and beverage, I thought this one was kind of interesting. There's a massive gap in grocery within the 20-mile space. I kind of thought the Normans and Moores might bump that up, but obviously there is still a pretty big grocery gap here in this market. You're oversubscribed on convenience stores, and that's probably because we capture I-35 in this in our 20-mile gap. You also buy about as much liquor as you should, so congratulations. Fruits and vegetables, there, so yeah. Health and personal care. This is one that would be a pretty tough sell with a smaller gap, even though it's close to 100 million. You've got almost a little over 350 million already in sales. Pharmacy, normally you don't see sales and potential that close on pharmacy, and so again, I think some of that is probably over on the other side of I-35. Might be an opportunity for us here, but it's a tough sell. It's part of the narrative that we have to come up with. Sporting goods the same way. You're actually, there's more sales than there are potential in the market, so people are actually coming into this market in order to buy sporting goods. So we've got to be able to tell a story about, again, about the money that would be here in this community, and that we'd love to be able to buy those products even more closely. But this is our headwind on sporting goods. General merchandise the same way. There is a gap on superstores, which is going to capture some of your Walmart sales. I think that is something that we can sell to the Walmart type folks that are out there in the market. But department and other general, you're oversubscribed in those areas. And then miscellaneous. I just throw that up there so you can see pet supply, art dealers, mobile homes. You sell a lot of mobile homes here in this area. Florists, you've got, you're selling some flowers too, okay? And then we love looking at this one. You're oversubscribed according to the data on limited service restaurants. So these are going to be quick service, your McDonald's, Wendy's, those types of things. The fortunate thing on limited service is that they get a lot more acute in their look at a market. I mean, heavens, there's a McDonald's every 3 or 4 miles, and they except here, but a lot of those are really looking at the traffic counts more than anything else, and so I don't think that number hurts you. And full service restaurants, there's actually quite a bit of sales in that area, but you can kind of see hotels. Hotels get a little funky on our numbers sometimes because people will code things a little bit different within hotels. But I know Norman is in dire need of additional hotel rooms, and I think that's something that we could sell here as well. Gas stations, there's a gap there, which is a little surprising. Okay. And car parts, you guys are way oversubscribed on motor vehicle parts. You would probably know that better than I would, but I would not see a lot of auto dealers or auto parts retailers wanting to come into this market. And those are the numbers. Like I said, this is us trying to put together the message. And in my opinion, the message about Blanchard is this is where the money is. This is where we may not have as many rooftops as some of the other markets here in the metropolitan area, but if you want to get to where the dollars originate, this would be the market that you wanted to start in. We have been very fortunate in our first 6 months to have 3 site visits from developers. That is a little bit unusual. I started out the conversation by saying, you know, the golf course, the new golf course gets a lot of attention from folks, and it's very unique for something going on here in Oklahoma. And so that has helped bring some people to town, but also some of the things that you've done with pre-passing TIFs is a huge benefit, and has made that sale a whole lot easier as well. But I'll open it up for questions. Do you guys have any questions or any comments about anything you saw that looked way off, out of sorts?
Well, I will say, being in construction industry and trades, I have to go outside of Blanchard and even McLean County to even get a lot of my materials. So that's that. And the farm and ranch store, I would like to see a little bit closer.
Yep.
I would prefer Atwoods,
Well, Atwoods is headquartered in Enid, where Jennifer and I live, and
Yeah.
Brian Atwood is a good friend, and he's heard the word Blanchard many a time. And we've also met with Tractor Supply folks. Tractor Supply is doing a lot of stores right now. Tractor Supply and Atwoods approach things a little bit different. Tractor Supply is more national, and this is the way a lot of retailers work nowadays anyways. They will determine how much capital they want to invest in stores, and then they will say, we're going to build 20 stores next year or 150 stores next year, and that's the way Tractor Supply is. So I think they're doing 20 stores in this market, multi-state market, that they'll be announcing in 2026, whereas the Atwoods are just looking for a deal. They've got 81 stores today. They're trying to get to 100 here over the next couple years, and so they're looking for that just right spot or that building that they can renovate that's 50, 60,000 square feet. They can be won over with a deal, and not necessarily just hungry hippos of trying to capture some of those capital dollars.
That is one thing I've noticed. Tractor Supply has smaller stores, whereas Atwoods has larger stores and a larger variety of things.
Yep, that is very true. And we have both of those in Enid where we're at, and we avoid Tractor Supply since we're headquartered with Atwoods. Why would they be in that market? But every once in a while you got to run in there, and they do have some similar product mixes, but when they're in markets together, they try to make sure they're capturing something a little different.
Where does Baumgars fall into playing in that game with them?
Yeah, I don't know how many stores they're adding right now. I know they're actively growing, but they might be somebody that would be a better fit for this market. But yeah, I would say they're maybe a step below what we would normally see with an Atwoods or Tractor Supply. I would try first to get the Atwoods and Tractor Supply if you're going after farm supply. But again, in that market, you're competing with things in southern Oklahoma City, Chickasha, and just being able to tell the story that, yeah, this is where the money is. As you can tell, that's what I say a lot. This is where the money is.
Well, and we have a connection to Atwoods also here because Mr. Atwood's wife's sister lives here in town.
Oh, yes. Yep.
So.
Yep. He mentioned that.
Wish she had more power. So.
Any other thoughts or questions on anything?
Yeah, I'd like to see more trade stuff, electric, heat and air, plumbing, and that kind of stuff come in as well.
Yep. Where is your closest lock? You have a lock?
There's one in Chickasha, a small one, and there's a larger one in Norman. There's one in Moore. There's
Mustang.
Mustang.
Mustang's got a lock.
There's one on South 240 in Penn, Kentucky. So there's several around.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. We've been working with their guy out of Oklahoma City on a couple of markets. I will tell you, a lot of their sales are not subject to sales tax, and so if you're chasing sales tax dollar, it doesn't help you as much. But for the construction industry and the ease of that in the
Well, maybe
employment.
the nearest is either, what, maybe here at Ace, which is very limited, or doing Norman, or there's a city electric over in Tulsa that I bought stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's close, a little hard, but they're convenient for the area, so.
Okay.
How does online work on that? Does that calculate the use tax?
It
as
does. It's a great question, and I should have mentioned that at the beginning, but yeah, your use taxes are figured into these figures.
So those would be, those, doing online would be considered a local purchase then?
It would be.
Okay.
Yep.
If it's delivered to a
If
Blanchard
it's
address.
delivered to your house. So all of those things from Shein that you've been ordering, that's what it is.
So let your wife go wild on Amazon.
Can't stop her.
Yep. Yeah, and I typically have a slide, I didn't include it on this one, where it shows what's the term, Jen? Non-retail store sales or something. And it's on our website if you want to look at it.
Brett, I have to say that in February, when we had ICSC in San Antonio, I appreciate the connections and the people you helped connect Terry and I with when we was up there, or down there, I should say, I guess, at San Antonio's ICSC. It was very beneficial, and we went to that meeting with a kind of a very heavy heart, because it had always been in Dallas, and we had a booth, and we helped get some exposure that way. It gave us a visit. And down there, it felt like we was separated and away from the exposure that we would get, and it actually turned out to probably be one of the best shows we've had. So, and you guys played a part of that. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much. It is helpful whenever members of the community can attend those events, because then we can show a developer that the city is real serious about partnering or making sure that something happens. And it was a big deal that you were there, and glad that you were able to make it.
Well, I know one thing that would help. I have one little girl that goes to church with us, and every time she sees me, she says, "Where's my McDonald's coming?" So,
Yes.
so when you get that, I
come up a lot.
I won't get that question anymore.
Yes. Yep. That would get. Well, Walmart comes up a lot. McDonald's comes up a lot, and yeah, there's a lot of them.
I'm glad we got promised.
That's true.
Definitely.
Any other questions? It really is an honor to work with you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Keeley. All right. I would entertain a motion to accept Resolution 2026-010.
So moved.
Motion by Vice Mayor Kemper. Second. Second by Councilor Lee.
Ben Witt.
Yes, ma'am.
Christina Short.
Yes.
Brandon Alley.
Yes.
Chuck Kemper.
Yes.
And Michael Scout.
Yes. All right. Item B2 on the is Resolution 2026-111-CC, which is amending the speed limit on Northwest 85th Street, west of 76. Mr. Downey, you want to?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, Council, there was a speed study done as part of the design process for the Northwest 85th Street Bridge Replacement Project by ODOT. Burgess and Nyepel is in the process of doing the engineering for that bridge replacement project. And in our conversations, as we were moving through the project, they mentioned that this was, what existed was less than a 25-mile-an-hour design curve on that street. They asked us a couple of questions, but as it sits and without doing an immense amount of additional work, which would include taking some of the land from the neighboring RV park to get the easement to flatten everything out, to get to a 45-mile-an-hour design curve, they're not going to be able to get that. They're not going to be able to get higher speeds. We know that there have been complaints about high speeds out there. So they provided us a letter that justifies that 25-mile-an-hour curve. So this amendment of the speed limit would bring that in line with the existing condition of the pavement and the vertical curve. Are there any questions from the council?
Is that, how far is that west from 76? Is it 1 mile or
This
further?
is the second bridge
Yeah.
west of 76, it's just past our depot.
Yeah, just on the,
New bridge.
Okay, so it's in that first mile.
and the resolution amends the speed limit from Highway 76 to Oak Forest Drive and makes that 25 miles an hour, and then it would be 35 miles an hour going west from there to county line.
I know that, if I recall, is on our long-term project list for section line road repair, but that's obviously going to be down the road when we collect more money.
It is, and
But I don't know if you were going to do a complete vertical realignment.
we certainly aren't if ODOT's replacing this bridge now.
Right.
Yeah, yes, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it takes a lot of land to flatten out some of those hills through there.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Downey? Entertain a motion. Motion by Councilor Whitmer,
Second.
second by Vice Mayor Kemper.
Brandon Alley,
Yes.
Christina Short,
Yes.
Ben Witt,
Yes, ma'am.
Chuck Kemper,
Yes.
and Michael Scout.
Yes. All right.
Yeah, the north side of that bridge is pretty steep down in there,
Yes.
and a lot of runoff, so I'd be glad to see that thing replaced.
We're looking forward to it as well.
All right, item B3 is a resolution 2026-112 CC, which addresses amending the speed limit on Northeast 25th Street based on the same study by Aguirre and Fields.
This is actually a different study from Aguirre and Fields, which is the one that we commissioned with the section line roads project. Doesn't have to do with the bridge, but they did evaluate each street when we asked them to do those 24 sections of road. And as part of that, they identified that this area had a 35 mile an hour design speed due in large part to the condition of the existing facility, especially in the low area where we've had some issues with washing out last spring. It may be able to go to a different design speed when it's reconstructed, depending on what we do with that reconstruction. But a 45 mile an hour design speed is not adequate or not appropriate here. And this amendment brings this in line with the existing condition. Any questions from the council on this resolution?
Seeing there is none, I'd entertain a motion to accept.
So moved.
Motion by Councilor Witt, second by Mr. Kemper. Okay. Okay.
Christina Short,
Yes.
Brandon Alley,
Yes.
Ben Witt, Chuck Kemper,
Yes.
and Michael Scout.
Yes.
Dustin, is this between 76 and Portland?
It's between 76 and Rockwell.
Rockwell, yes.
Going
That's
east.
the one that kept trying to wash away last
Yeah.
year after paved was gone. So that's what I see first.
That is near the top of our prioritization list.
Okay, item B4 is the resolution 2026-113-CC, which is approving the renewal of the reservation agreement between the city and the Blanchard Senior Citizens Organization.
Mr.
This is our, this,
So back in 2017, we took on the Senior Nutrition Center after Delta dropped us and the state aid dropped, and we have been honoring a agreement that every year that they can bring a reservation agreement to use the building for another year for not just the nutrition, but also the senior organization themselves to do their bingo nights, puzzles, their activities, yoga, and so forth. And so this is just another reservation agreement that they have requested of the council.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Counselor Witt, second by Counselor Lee.
Brandon Alley,
Yes.
Ben Witt,
Yes, ma'am.
Christina Short,
Yes.
Chuck Kemper.
Yep.
And Michael Scout.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item B5 is Resolution 2026-114CC, which is accepting the engineering report prepared by Aguirre and Fields and closing out the project. Mr. Downey.
We accepted the gist of the project with the resolution 2 months ago. Then we had some lingering things move on with the pricing and everything. This approves final payment, closes the project. Notably, a $35,000 not to exceed contract that came in at less than $30,000. I know in the grand scheme of things that's not a lot of dollars, but it is nearly a 19% savings based on making sure that we stayed at the scope and got the information we did. I think we've all been very happy with the work that they did. And we will discuss future phases of this project after a financial review. I think I mentioned that in my staff report. We want to make sure that after we got the new fiscal year set up and everything, had a conversation with finance to make sure we know exactly where we're at as far as what we can do before we bring something to the council to say, hey, let's engineer this. So that's where we're at with this. This closes out that part of the project, and then we move forward soon when we decide what we're going to construct.
Any questions? Yeah.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Kemper and Christina Short.
Ben Witt, Christina Short,
Yes.
Brandon Alley,
Yes.
Chuck Kemper.
Yes.
And Michael Scout.
Yes. All right. Item B6 is Resolution 2026-116CC, which is discussing the procurement possibilities on the easements. The action by the, excuse me, I'm reading the wrong line here. Authorizing the compensation for the authorization of the easements on the 70th Street. So Mr. Downey, you want to?
I would love to. This one may take a second because there's a lot that's going on in this
2
resolution.
minutes and 2 seconds.
Should this resolution be passed, we will have 16 accepted utility easements out of the 22 that are necessary for this project. We have 4 that are pending. Came to an agreement with a couple of property owners. One of them was out of town. They're back in town. We're going to get some signatures. We're going to have those for the August 11th council meeting, and that leaves 2. We're very happy with the work that was done by Poe and Associates and by staff to get to 20 out of 22. But the fact of the matter is there's a couple of people that those easements are probably going to have to go through the eminent domain process. So this resolution does 3 things. It accepts and instructs us to pay for 6 additional easements, which gets us to that 16. It acknowledges that we're continuing to negotiate on those other 4, and then it describes and sets apart specifically the 2 easements that we expect to have to go into the eminent domain process for. The city attorney we've spoken with him on this, and if he'd like to add anything about that part of the process, Excellent, but are there any questions on the other portions of the resolution?
Where are the two that we are going to be delayed on? How, are they closer to 76 versus 70th, or?
That's the fun part. One of them is easement number 2, which is just barely east of Highway 76. And the other one is easement 14, which is the southwest corner of 70th Street and Rockwell. So they're not exactly in the same place.
How far is that one from 62? Would you estimate?
It's
A mile?
2 miles from 62.
Okay.
We certainly have more space on that side. I did hear a question from a council member before the meeting about a $12,000 payment on one of those, and that's because that one is that property owner owns the property that's, nearly a quarter section on the west side of that first mile before MacArthur. That's why that one's larger than everybody else's.
I'm happy to provide whatever information the council would like about the process of eminent domain. Barring any specific questions, I can just kind of give a brief overview of the process, if that's what you'd like to hear.
I think we'd like that and kind of an estimated timeline, yeah.
Sure. So if the city finds that the taking of private property is for public use, there's a public necessity, and that would probably need to be done through a resolution where the city has documented that this is a public necessity, and I would assume that it's in this resolution. I was looking for it, but I'm just looking at it. So once that is done, the city, probably through me, would put together a petition for condemnation and file that. It's a court case, so you would file that with the district court and get service on the property owner that owns the private property that's going to be taken for a public purpose. At that point, you have a hearing where the district court would appoint commissioners, which are just going to be private individuals that will be tasked with the purpose of valuing the land that will be taken for that public purpose. Once those commissioners are appointed, they'll put together a report, file it with the court, and their determination will set kind of the benchmark for what needs to be paid for that property. And once that report is filed and is sent out to all interested parties, the city can pay that money that those commissioners have determined and then take possession of that property. So it's just like anything, it's subject to a whole lot of factors, but what I can say is that best case scenario to that point in the process, because there's more after that, but at that point the city can move on to what it needs to do, because it takes possession and leave the arguing down the line for me to do. That takes 2 to 3 months best case scenario.
The commissioners that are appointed, obviously they must take into consideration, or will take into consideration, the values that's been deemed, or the assessments and values of the properties that's been sold, or other easements that we've gotten to help justify what the value of that property usage is.
Well, to the extent that they lay that out, yes. So that's what the fight on the back end would be about, is what is the reasonable way for those commissioners to determine what the value of that property is, because I guarantee you that the property owner, well, I don't guarantee you, I don't know, but 9 times out of 10, if you're having to go that way, the property owner is going to think that whatever the commissioners came up with for the value is too low, and they're going to have a different way that the commissioner should have done that. But yeah, the commissioner would be looking at other properties that are similarly situated.
Another factor on that, would that possibly be based on the usage of what the city's trying to accomplish with the using or taking of that property? Like in the case of this, we're accessing property to install a water line underground that within a year, unless there's a leak, you would basically have undisturbed. Would that have any variation on the amount of the value or perceived cost?
I need to make sure that I understand what you're asking me before I answer that. It sounds like to me what you're asking is, will the commissioners take into account the benefit that would be received by the property for the project that's being done? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, and how it would affect the property in long-term usage.
I don't believe that that is typically something, I mean, that could be something that we could suggest if there is an argument about what the property is valued at. We could say, you know, hey, they didn't take into account the benefit, but I don't think that that would be something that would be taken into account, because they'd be looking at the property as it stands right now, what the fair market value of that property is.
I have another question, but probably for executive session, since that particular issue is listed to be discussed on the east side, and how that case is going to affect all of this too.
Okay, I had trouble hearing you. I'm sorry.
Okay.
He has another question for later.
Okay, sounds good.
Executive session item number 3, how that's going to relate to this.
Okay, all right.
Any other questions for Mr. Downey or Mr. Perriman? I would entertain a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Councilor Short,
Second.
second by Councilor Lee.
Ben Witt,
Yes, ma'am.
Christina Short,
Yes.
Brandon Alley,
Yes.
Chuck Kemper,
Yep.
and Michael Scout.
Yes. Right. Item B7 is Resolution 2026-116, CC, which is looking at the cost proposal for replacing the roof on the Blanchard Senior Citizen Center. They want a roof over their head?
Got a building, now they want a roof.
We just rented the building, we didn't promise them a roof.
They have a large swimming pool upstairs.
Yeah. All jokes aside, the
Was there any? Oh, I missed it.
the roof for the senior center has been identified for quite some time as in need of replacement. Thank you to the council for including that in the FY27 budget. Hopefully, we included enough in the FY27 budget for it. But there are two possible ways that we could procure that roof. The first one is the traditional open public bid system, which we have obtained a cursory construction estimate from a local entity that they spec'd it out for us so that we could use it for that type of procurement process. And we've also looked into the Roofing and Waterproofing Asset Management Program, or RAMP, which is a state line item which works very similarly to state contract. So it has already met the requirements for open bidding for state or municipal projects. We have reached out to a contractor that is approved through the RAMP project. I had another email conversation with them today. They are finalizing and putting on the RAMP forms their quote for the project. But the way that this resolution is formatted, it's based on what they respond with. If it is more than what our local construction estimate is, we'll probably will, this allows, or we go to open bid. And if it is less than what our construction estimate is, we utilize the ramp program and use that for our procurement function. Are there any questions from the council on that?
I would comment that I have previously used the ramp program for re-roofing a library at the city hall, and it was a very smooth process to have somebody else kind of running the program for you. They took care of all the vendor issues, and we just had to enjoy a dry building.
Is this kind of like CBDG and somebody else actually overseeing it?
Yes, the Department of Administration at the state level has people that will oversee this contract and oversee the actual process.
Can they get a surcharge or no?
Yes.
They do charge, and I can't remember if it's like 2.5% or 3%.
Yeah, it's
They do charge.
3.5, I think, but something like that.
Any further questions?
Make the motion to approve.
All right, motion by Councilor Lee.
Second.
All right, second by Vice Mayor Kemper. Okay.
Christina Short,
Yes.
Ben Witt,
Yes, ma'am.
Brandon Alley,
Yes.
Chuck Kimber,
Yep.
and Michael Scout.
Yes. All right, item B8 is Resolution 2026-117 CC. You will see a list of, we had a number of people that was terming out on different commissions as of June 30th. And so I took time to call and talk to each one of these personally. Jeff Hefner on Beta, and also Mary Beth McCain on Beta, Dee Smith and Jimmy Franklin on the Planning Commission, and Amber Garrett and Cheryl Hendricks on the Tourism Board. All 6 of those people volunteered to be appointed to another term on those committees. Mr. Jeff Clay, who is chairman of the Planning Commission, his job and some personal situations has made it where he needs to take a break. So he stepped away, and consequently Chris Purser, who is already on the Board of Adjustments, is interested in filling that seat and being on the Planning Commission. So I'm recommending that he move over to the Planning Commission, and then we'll be looking for a replacement on BOA. I've been in contact with the BOA chairman and asked them for their input of a suggested possible replacement before we go out and ask for others. And in the meantime, I haven't heard back from her yet, so in the meantime, if any of
She's
you
on
have...
vacation.
Pardon?
She's on vacation.
Oh, that's a good reason, yeah. Haven't heard back from her. But if you have someone you might want to recommend, keep it in back pocket, or have them fill out an application for committee work, and we will take that in consideration. So I would recommend that we approve this resolution reappointing all these people.
I'll second.
Mr. Witt, yes. Mr. Witt had the motion, and Mr. Alley, second.
Christina Short, Brandon Alley,
Yes.
Ben Witt,
Yes, ma'am.
Chuck Kimber,
You betcha.
and Michael Scout.
Yes. All right, item B9 is Resolution 2026-116 CC, which is council and the BMI regarding the resolution that we also discussed at the BMIA to be also addressed under the city council agenda. So it's the adoption of the same resolution. Entertain a
moved.
motion. Okay, motion by Vice Mayor Kemper.
Second.
Second by Mr. Alley.
Ben Witt, Christina Short,
Yes.
Brandon Alley,
Yes.
Chuck Kimber,
Yeah.
and Michael Scout.
Yes. All right, item B10 is an update on the city capital projects for June of 26. Mr. Downey, you're up again.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In addition to the information that we've already talked about with the roofs and the section line roads, we are going to obtain some new traffic counts on certain local streets in order to make sure that we've got all the data that we need to provide a proposal to the council for some overlay work on the local street side. The Bearcom project is done, paid for, we're moved on. The electrification project is going to recommence in conjunction with the successful T-Mobile grant application on or about the first week of August. We are working on making sure that we have everything prepared for that so that we can get that done. I will provide 2 other updates that are less exciting.
Who's going to be the point man to manage the electrical side of that and the concrete side of that? The two got to be working together. I would hope that somebody's talking to somebody instead of somebody going to do something and the other somebody not being ready.
We just, Mr. Witt, Mr. Bratcher, and myself just spent an hour discussing the exact same thing earlier this afternoon.
Perfect.
We're taking a three-headed head towards that and moving as quickly as 3 heads can together.
We want to make sure we get everything covered and not miss something and have to come back and tear something out later.
And we need to make sure to be in communication with Christina so she can keep CBD involved.
Absolutely. I'm sure I'll end up being that point of contact, and that's great. I enjoy working with you, so we'll just keep rolling. I do want to bring some attention, and nobody likes to talk about the things that are less happy, but so that you guys have the information that you need, our TSET and recreation grants for the walking trails and for the additional pickleball courts were both denied. So we don't have those to work on. I did ask for some additional verification from the Tourism and Recreation Department about the reasons for that not being suggested for approval. I hope to get some answers on that in the next couple of weeks. Any questions from the council on any of those items or anything else related to capital projects?
Question on the one pickleball court that we are in the process of installing. I know that Brandon's, Allie's son was spearhead on. Where are we on that being completed? And
I only know this because Mr. Wittenbach spoke about it earlier today, and I do listen when you talk. It appears they were waiting on some paint before they got to painting, and now they're scheduling time frames, and Mr. Ali can probably speak more to that.
We're going to be on vacation next week. After that, he should be trying to get it scheduled to paint and finish the rest of the install on that. And having scouts work on that, I strongly suggested you have some adults come that are good enough to measure once, but anal enough they're going to measure twice. And make sure the kids don't have it wavy.
it cannot be you.
It probably won't be me. I need to measure 3 times. I only measure once. I step over dollars to save pennies. So.
3 times is
Yeah.
Okay. Did it go inside or outside?
But the goal would be to have that done before school starts. While kids still have free time in the summer. So, but it's probably going to be August.
Awesome.
Okay, on the electric side of it, I've found part number for the existing lights. I'm in contact with somebody in the lot trying to see if we can get those same type of lights for Broadway, 2nd Street section we're going to put in for the T-Mobile, and now the 2 400 panels I thought had breakers in them, they don't. So I'm trying to figure out what kind of breakers we can put in, what that's going to cost. I have to go all over Virginia. So we're still working.
Well, I want to specifically thank Ben for doing everything that he has done and volunteering his time to coordinate and help us maintain and do the electrical work that he's done. He's trying to make sure we don't get electrocuted in the process. So thank you so much, Ben, for doing what you are on that. So, great. Okay, item B11 is an update on the GMC, and I don't have anything specific. I know we have an actual meeting tomorrow at 3 o'clock. There is an item on the agenda here that does have some effect potentially on the GMC, so Kenny, if you want to talk about it now, or you want to talk about that on the PUD that's being discussed
Well, we
from.
can talk about that portion of it under the PUD. I would just add that we are working on a site plan. We are working to finish up stormwater management plan, and then both Tuttle staff and Blanchard staff will be doing some clearing. It's a really wooded site. It's got a drainage way through it. They're going to get some temporary drainage culverts in there so we can access the site, do our geotech, and finish our application to EDA for a grant.
I know David's not here tonight, but I know that the committee last month approved spending some funds to purchase the tin horn and get the initial cut through in the driveway into that, the access into the property. Has that been done yet?
I don't think so. I think we decided we needed to wait since we could be over an acre. We really need to wait to get the stormwater put together. That's what we've got the site plan finishing up, and we should have a document for GMC to sign to get covered under the stormwater.
Okay,
permit.
tomorrow.
Yes.
So we have not purchased the tin horn. We have a quote for it, but there has been no purchase of it yet.
Right, I think everything went on hold until we could formalize the stormwater permit.
Okay, well, I know they passed a resolution to set a maximum expenditure on that, so. All right, thank you. All right, item B12 is an update on the CBD, I can't always get that right. Get my B's and D's turned around. That's short.
Okay, so as probably everybody in the room knows, or if you were at the 4th of July, then you definitely know, we applied months ago for a T-Mobile hometown grant. Found out that we did indeed get awarded the grant, $41,470. It was a huge win for Blanchard. They came to 4th of July and did their big check presentation, and that was fantastic. That plan, as was communicated when the business district committee met this week. Last week?
This week.
This week.
No, last week.
It's been a long week.
Yeah.
Today's Tuesday, last week.
Time flies.
The plan, so that will redo the falling fascia, concrete fascia on the south portion of Main. That will update and create sidewalk that falls into nothing today, and create ramps that will put up handicap or ADA compliant railing, that will add some handicapped parking spaces, that will work into Councilor Witt's electrification project, and a crosswalk, and just several other small things like that just to get down there. The goal behind their grant, everything about that grant, was to make the area more accessible, to make people want to commute there and be there. And so it allows us to expand the different things that we do downtown. It gives people more of a place to be. And right now, that sidewalk just falls off right at the old Yarborough building. It just falls off into nothing. So it'll allow us to expand that and move that, and then better utilize the rest of the parking that already exists down that direction. So they were here, they were super impressed with everything that we had to offer. And I think we have 1 year to complete the project.
It's in May of next year.
So we have until May of next year to complete the project. And the majority of the work's being done by city staff, which is fantastic, keeps the money in Blanchard. which, even better. In terms of the district itself, one of Maine actually on Maine this year, and keep the rest of the things that were scheduled through parks and through the chamber happening on their schedules. So I know when I spoke to Daniel yesterday.
Yes.
Thank you. That was a huge part of the conversation in coordinating everybody, was making sure that things were going to happen where they were supposed to happen. And correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, Mufflers on Main is supposed to be back on Main this year. Okay. So that's the update from the district.
Right now, we're working on a tentative timeline. I've presented it to Roger, Dustin, and Marty. Just he and I went out there for about 2.5 hours, just walking, looking at the place, trying to plan how many days we need. Ultimately, about 165 days. Now, they're not all consecutives. We take breaks. For instance, we're going to start tentatively on the south side at 2nd Street. He said the starting point will be easy because there's nothing to pull out concrete wise. Putting in concrete is a little bit easier. When there's nothing there, there'll be some grading and a light pole that will need to be removed. The northern side, which is just the fascia, which is from Broadway to about where the Mercantile is, that's relatively easy because there's no sidewalk being replaced. It's just the fascia and adding 2 locations
But
for
when
pedestals.
you tear up the fascia, you're closing parking spots. That's the CBD's concern.
So
we need to make sure we keep them informed.
So that's where we're going with all of this. The middle part is going to be the longest and the hardest, only because we are taking out about 10 feet of area. It's everything not in front of the Mercantile, but goes up to the stairs in front of the Mercantile. So ideally, if weather permitting, we can start beginning of August, and then in the first phase right before Mufflers on Main. Then after Mufflers on Main, work the second phase, which will run right about December 8th, with, there's the Pumpkin Fest will be there. But yes, parking will be closed during work hours. During hours that we're not there, there will be plenty of spots, if they're active at night. But in each of those phases, there will be some parking that will be utilized for equipment. And yes, so that's where we're putting the schedule. After January will be when the last part where the fascia is being removed. That will be the last phase, and putting in the railing, the pedestals.
Christmas is the other big issue.
Yeah.
We're not, events are great, and I'm glad we're looking at that, but we also need to keep in mind those businesses depend on Christmas.
So basically from December 8th through January 1st, there'll be no activity happening down that area. So that's why it's 165 days, but it goes all the way to April 30th, which is way more than that. So that covers breaks. If we have to take a break and Marty has to pull his crew off, we need to take it, into consideration for that as well.
And there will be a period of time where the stairs directly in front of, the 2 sets of stairs directly in front of the senior center and the Mercantile will be unavailable, but there will be access from the new area and from the corner. So one of the questions that they had asked during the committee meeting was, will there be a period of time when there'll be no access from the front? And the answer is no.
Correct. We spaced it out enough that where the main businesses are working, the American Legions and the Senior Center, there might be a short while, but most of the time they will be open and accessible. And there will be a map being drawn. It's finished, but as soon as we get the green light, we'll have that ready to go, talk to each of the businesses, and go from that direction. And after this, just something else that hasn't been discussed, after the west side is done, the pedestals on the east side will, once we figure out the funding for that, those and the electrification project, the pedestals on the east side will be installed as well. So not part of the project per se, but was alluded to in the project that this is some areas that the city's taking care of that was outside the scope of the money side of T-Mobile.
Got to look ahead of us.
Yes, we do.
Thank you, Christina. There was something mentioned a while ago that I guess Yarborough Park's right there in front of that first phase area on South Main Street.
Ben, is your mic on? I can't hear you down here.
I'll try it again. There was something said earlier about Yarborough people parking on Main Street down there in that open area. And when we start that work, maybe they could park up there where the bounce houses are. I don't know if that's feasible or even, but just an idea to consider.
We talked about putting some gravel in a place for their work trucks. There's work trucks and a few employees that park across the street, right? You know, if you look at aerials, their trucks are there. So
Yep.
we're going to sit down with them. Chris is going to help me talk to them and work out the details. Because they will be part of phase one.
Good deal. Thank you. All right, item 13, B for 13 is, I had asked our city manager to add this to the agenda for us to look at and discuss and maybe give some direction to city staff and our city attorney to update and or modify our current code on itinerant for solicitors and peddlers. We've had a lot of issues in town and we've seen some pretty ridiculous situations that people have encountered lately. And so he included that information. I do know that our current code has a couple things, and we were all looking for it. We finally found it, but it does specifically state that there is no soliciting permitted between the hours of 6 p.m. and 10 a.m. And of course, with the security bond, it's required, and then also the pricing on the permitting process and so forth. So, and another thing that was suggested is that possibly we have a page put on our website where we can list approved solicitors, peddlers, so that people can go on the site and look and see who is an approved peddler and what dates they're allowed to be out soliciting. I'd like to maybe, based on especially a post I saw, we maybe limit our peddling to strictly front doors, because we had someone complaining that they were going to the back door and knocking after they didn't answer the front door. And that's like,
Only once.
so, and also, if Mr. Coleman could elaborate on it, but he brought us a copy of an ordinance from another city as a possible reference. And if you want to elaborate on that a little bit.
So the issues with door-to-door salespeople, solicitors, whatever the term du jour is one that has gone up and down through the Supreme Court system a couple different times. And so they've finalized, I think the court has kind of given everybody a fair guidance on how to handle these. Essentially, the cities can set the rules for the game, they just can't stop the game. And so in this case, we can set the times that you can go to people's houses. We can set the times or the process of going, you know, if you have to go to the front door, as you mentioned, we can tell them that they have to have a permit from the city. We can advertise that permit, but we can't prevent them from doing that. The thing that the mayor just alluded to comes from the city of Owasso, where they've taken those Supreme Court rulings and kind of melded into what's a decent process. And what it really evolves around is setting a process that the citizens can take control of the game by signing on to what's called a no-knock list, which then establishes that my house is on this list and you as a permittee cannot approach this property. And if you do, then you're subject to either fines or loss of your permit to be a solicitor within Blanchard. Citizens can take a more stringent approach by posting their houses to be no solicitation, which under an amended ordinance probably would subject those persons that violated that to being trespassed within the city of Blanchard at that property anyway. So there are clearly some things that we can do to kind of beef this up, but I think whatever we do, the most stringent approach would be to have the citizens involved, and that means signing on to a no-knock list that would be handed to the itinerant vendors as they apply or receive their permits. It would be maintained by the city clerk.
Says it right here.
But I think
Right, it must be true.
that really gives us the best armor to protect our citizens, is have our citizens protect themselves by participating.
What don't you like about this? I read it, I like it, but I don't know all the legalities.
You know, one of the things that OWASO does, because they have a much larger staff than we do, is they actually prepare a GIS mapping system
Right.
that shows lot by lot whether, if it's red, you can't go there, and if it's green, you can. That's probably a far reach for what
Can't do
Blanchard's
that.
current capabilities are. But I think having that list and making sure it's refreshed every once in a while, I think you probably have to get the citizens every couple of years to reaffirm that they want to do that. But I think from the staff's perspective, really the most difficult part about this is getting the word out to the citizens that we're going to do that, and then properly processing those no-knock list applications, if you will, and making sure they're included in the proper section of the list.
How do we come up with a fee schedule on that then? Or ticket or whatever it's going to be for violators?
You can always bounce back. I'll defer to council, but you always defer back to the general penalty, which I think is $750 in Blanchard.
I was looking at this, and I believe that I saw, let me check before I say this. I believe that I saw that it was $1,000 for a violation.
That's been changed
One was a security deposit, wasn't
Okay,
it, or a
that's been
bond?
changed?
on the fee schedule. It's still in the code book.
Okay,
but that's
all right.
changed.
Well,
Okay.
whatever it says, but yeah, if there's not something in the fee schedule, then it would just be the all other criminal violations. One point that I'd like to add, and this isn't really a legal thing, so take from it what you will. I live here in Blanchard, and it has been a problem, and I know that we've got these regulations, and when somebody comes to my door, I ask them if they have a permit. But I think if that, going along with what Roger said, if we're going to get the community involvement on this, I think one of the things that the city should do is say, this is how you handle this. This is the process for handling if you're approached by somebody who does not have a permit, whatever that process is. But putting that information in front of the public on, okay, I know that they can't do this, but how do I resolve it
Right.
when it happens?
Got to have some take action. Yeah.
It also does specify in here that it does not apply to nonprofit organizations, groups, and associations, and making sure that the Blanchard public is aware that kids can still come
Yeah.
and do the school things, and they're not prohibited. If you're on the list, they're not prohibited from doing that. Kids can still come and do that. Church groups can still come and do that.
You know, and even election campaigns are exempt from that too by federal law, so.
Would that apply to a local business?
That doesn't
Yeah.
say that.
I'm sorry? Would that apply to a local business as well?
They would need a permit according to the nonprofit group and association.
I believe that a local business would not fit into the definition of an itinerant vendor, because if you have a brick and mortar store within city, you would not be an itinerant vendor.
Okay, well, that's what I thought before, that local businesses actually could do that. I don't know how the no-knock list would work on them.
Although they would be subject, if you have a no solicitation sign on your door, they're
Sure.
subject to the same thing.
I think there's a couple subdivisions that actually have no solicitation signs at the front, nobody pays attention to, but they have them. Set up by their HOAs. I don't know the legalities behind that, but.
Is that something that they can enforce? Because that's.
No, sir, I keep telling you, I drove by law school.
Yeah.
I didn't actually stop.
That's something that would seem to be hard to enforce from a subdivision per se, be an individual property owner only.
I have to look it up. I don't know the answer off the top of my head.
So what, I kind of like, I'm like with Chuck, I kind of like the no-knock.
Love the no-knock.
I think it gives the public the right to control what they have at their house. A lot of people already have no solicitation and no-knock signs. It just puts a little bit of teeth into that sign and kind of makes sure that the vendor is told up front that it means something. It's just not a.
So, Mr. Carpenter, I think,
So my name's Officer Carpenter. I was with the city of Blanchard for about 3 years with the police department. So while I'm not a citizen of the city of Blanchard, I think this is a fantastic idea. I would even go so far as to say, in the 3 years I've been here, if we could put together a frequent violator list, because in this year alone, we've written, myself and my officers have written probably close to 20 citations for at least 4 different companies, and they continue to violate this ordinance within our city, aggravating our citizens and causing staffing issues where we have to run and chase them down, and all it does is just pester the city, the citizens. So having some sort of list or some sort of reference point of frequent violators to where that when they come back next year, that we're not going to give them a permit because they continue to violate this ordinance multiple times.
And it could be that there's some provision for enhancement of the penalty for multiple violations.
stack them.
Yeah.
I'm aware that the code enforcement staff has been involved with this, not as well as the police department, and there has been one permit application for an itinerant vendor that was denied by our permitting staff because of the complaints that had already happened before they came and turned in an application for a permit.
Well, I think that goes to what the mayor was saying earlier then about having our website updated with that list so our citizens can go look and see.
The previous jurisdiction that I worked for, their police department actually, when when the solicitor permit was approved, they posted on their socials so that people would have it, and I think that's reasonable to think that our team could do the same.
When there's no knock list, I can see 2 different forms of this, public and private. The public side would be probably the address. I don't know if you put an included number, the owner's name or not in there. But the private side, some sort of contact information, if we have to come back and revise this in a couple of years or something, we have some way to contact them, either call or whatever, but that would not be in the public side of the record.
If I want your address, I'd drive by your street and get it. Right?
Well, I mean,
That's,
I think you would probably.
Public information.
I'm guessing you would maintain that database would be obviously the person that filed it, their contact information and address and all. But the address is all that the vendors would get. They would get nothing else, I would think.
that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Personal information, you don't want the vendors having, just tell them the addresses that's prohibited, here's this list.
That makes it easy for them to find themselves.
so what are we looking at as a motion on this then? Because it obviously needs work.
Yeah, this is discussion only. We had kind of discussed about having this being one of the things at our next quarterly meeting. But staff, based upon this discussion here, I think staff, we can actually start putting some stuff together and bring it forward at a future council meeting.
How often do you update the address? You know, somebody moves that.
Agreed.
That's something we'd have to.
That's Southern House.
That's why the list has to be refreshed every once in a while.
Any other comments? No, staff had nothing else to do, so we just added something to their to-do list. All right.
Yeah, I bet it does to the office, I know that works.
Item B14. Mr. Wittenbach, we finally got to you.
He always gets pushed to the end.
Yeah, we
No.
want him to enjoy the council meeting.
In my defense, Mr. Wittenbach, why are you at the end?
Because I was late.
Anyway, Mr. Mayor, Council, you didn't think I was gonna let National Parks and Rec Month go by without getting to speak to you, did you? I wanted to just talk to you just for a moment. This should be, for most of you, something you already know about, but one of the hats I wear is as a member of the Blanchard Community Coalition. For the past 4 years, we have started a little program called, believe it or not, it's called Play in the Streets. But it is a program where we invite all of the school-age children out to a closed-down area, and we have free hot dogs and music, and we have different members of our organization bring games and athletic things, and it's just a lot of fun. We've had, this coming up event would be year number 4. And we tried it one time in the park, and none of the kids showed up. They tend to like it better downtown. And we do get a lot of parents that'll drive by and drop their kids off for a couple of hours and have a little kid-free time. So that's what this event is going to be. It will be blocking off right there at the corner of Main Street, all the way down to the alleyway on Broadway, basically the length of the senior center. And that will be, I believe, August 4th. Are there any questions?
Yes.
Yes.
So where's this going again?
I believe it was August 4th.
Where?
Okay.
Between Subway, PD, down to the. PD.
Broadway, basically from the flagpole down to the
Senior center.
City Hall.
Okay.
So you're going west, you're not going south.
On Broadway, did I say? Yeah. Starting from Main, going to the alleyway on Broadway.
Okay. Okay, cool. So is there going to be inflatables, anything like that?
There may be an inflatable, not a whole bunch of them, but there may be one.
I just, logistics, cool, make sure it ain't.
So you have access to that 200 amp panel that's there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I
And
was
we'll-
thinking this is going to be going down further south, but we're fixing to start.
Oh, no, it would be just on Broadway. Like, I believe Pioneer brings their truck out, they do hot dogs for all the kids for free. We have usually a business will donate snow cones, or Legacy Bank will bring their ice cream truck. It's just kind of a big community deal, but this will be year 4 for that.
Anything, let me know.
Thanks, sir.
Entertain a
So
motion.
moved.
Motion by Vice Mayor Kemper,
Second, oh.
second by Councilor Witt. I saw your hand before she spoke
Yeah,
up.
she said.
Yeah, you have to speak up quicker.
Christina Short,
Yes.
Ben Witt,
Yes, ma'am.
Brandon Alley,
Yes.
Chuck Kemper.
Absolutely.
And Michael Scout.
Yes. Okay, item B15 is the discussion and that possible action on the County Line Road PUD information that we've received from Oklahoma City. So, Mr. Kenny and/or
Mayor, members of the council, this, and we apologize for the lateness of informing you about this, but this literally came to our attention yesterday morning, and so we thought it was important enough for us to amend the agenda and get it out there for you all to be aware of what is happening. Kenny and Dustin have collaborated on what's happening and maybe some potential solutions, so.
Yeah. I'll speak a little bit.
Dustin was kind of the first contact, and then I can follow that up.
Yeah, I'll speak a little bit to what the PUD application is, the location and all of that, and then why it impacts Blanchard will be between the two of us. This is the PUD application 2147 for the city of Oklahoma City is the Boy Scout ranch on the north side of the river at on county line. The Boy Scouts the Boy Scouts facility is currently served by City of Blanchard utilities. The PUD application contemplates a single-family housing subdivision with approximately 220 to 240 homes on the over 300 acres. It is it's directly adjacent to Blanchard's 12-inch water line, which is obviously, the city is under the resolution 2024-44, we're under the moratorium. The project is being designed by Craft and Toll and their engineer Kendall Dillon, who has actually presented in front of this dais before. I know Mr. Dillon, so I asked him what his take on this was, how they were planning on doing utilities. And he mentioned to me that their intent was actually to bring water from Oklahoma City utilities about a mile away and pull it to the west. Obviously, if this were to be tied on to City of Blanchard utilities, it would be a potential direct violation of the moratorium, which Oklahoma City may or may not know about. And the reason for the urgency on our side is, again, we were notified of this on Monday morning, and the Oklahoma City Planning Commission meets on Thursday to make a recommendation to the council about it. Next Thursday. Still before we have the opportunity to meet with the council again. So we wanted to make sure that this was in front of you. And we also wanted to take a moment to think about whether this could be an opportunity for us. If there was a way that this, if they participated by bringing a parallel line or something like that, that it may benefit the city as far as utilities to work with them in that way. And that I will send over to Mr. Sullivan to talk about.
Okay, so after my conversation with Mr. Downey, I started digging through all my information that I had of Oklahoma City's lines in that area. And the fact that they're going to bring a line from the east, our line comes from the north, okay? However, those things come together about a mile away and have a shared line up to the booster station that serves that whole area. So it's essentially going to come off the same supply that ours is coming off of. I also got to looking, I modified my model to even go all the way to their booster station. It's not completed yet. I haven't got to look at pressures, but first thing you notice is the change over the last 5 to 7 years in that area, including, I think, Daniel, don't we have about 50 services on the north side?
35.
Okay. Oklahoma City, just in this area served by the same line we're served by, I estimate 750 taps in subdivisions up there. Vast majority of those are probably in the last 5 to 7 years. Hence some of the pressure problems we've had getting to our supply. So I think it doesn't make a lot of difference if they bring a line from the east and tie it into our line and we even moved our meter. I don't think that makes, I think the bigger effect is adding 240 services to a a single mile of, or actually a mile of 12 and a mile of 16 before it splits off. I think that's the bigger thing. Now, I talked with Kendall Dillon and asked him, and he said, yeah, and you know, we would, if you, at the time I thought, well, that may not be coming from there, so it may help if it's a secondary feed, it might help. So I talked with him, and he confirmed that it's being heard on the 23rd from Oklahoma City Planning Commission. But he says, we have so many protests on that right now. I don't see any way that they're going to act on it. I don't see any way that they're not going to have us meet with the public. And he said, if I was a betting man, I would bet that we end up not doing the water. I bet we go more than an acre, and I bet they go with individual wells. He said, that's the betting man. But I think the effect, I was hoping, when I talked to you, Dustin, and I'm sorry I misled you, I was hoping this line from the east came from a different area and not a sole source just the other side of the square. I think if you were going to write a resolution, I think it ought to be something to the effect that, you know, this is 240 more on a line that's already can't support what it's got.
Where's that line from the east originate?
It originates
How many?
Council in about 89th.
Isn't that where we were at?
That booster station?
Yeah.
Yeah.
29.
What if, you know, Dustin mentioned, is there a benefit to any of this? What if they were to, maybe you guys negotiate with Oklahoma City, tap us off that east line, where it's only servicing that little portion there, take us off the north loop, because that goes all the way around the airport, right?
Right.
Which, that whole area is going to keep growing.
Right.
And the negotiation, of course, right, that the city of Oklahoma City is not going to participate in this in any way, shape, or form because it's a private application. So we would be asking for participation from whoever Kendall Dillon's client is, right? And I don't know who that is. I haven't spent enough time to dig into who's making application other than I saw that they were the engineer of record and we knew them, we could get some information. The other end of this is I think that, especially with the information that Mr. Sullivan has provided, we know as a council, as a planning commission, as a staff, we know what the power of the written word is. And I think that, you know, I think that if we are in that area telling people that they cannot tie on to our water line, that it is, it's at least potentially appropriate. It's the council's determination as to whether it's appropriate, but it's at least potentially appropriate that we mention the same things and advocate for the same things that impact the same water line from the city of Oklahoma City.
Okay. My first, and this is the first time hearing that, so my first thought was, if they're dragging another 12-inch line, is your mic on? If they're doing another 12-inch line, then I don't know I don't know what they're tied into. You said there's a 16 up there somewhere. Could we do such?
There's a booster station here.
Yeah.
And this is crude, I know. There's a booster station up here at 89th, and it's actually a little north of 89th and county line, okay? It comes down as a 12, okay? It goes east as a 12, 1 mile. This is all one line, not loop. This is coming out of their booster station. It goes south as a 16, a mile, and then it splits into a 12-inch that comes to back to county line, and 104th where Blanchard's meter is, and it goes a mile back to the east as a 12-inch line, and that's where it starts branching off and feeding into 700-plus
So our main supply
residential
line-
lots.
Our main supply line is a 12-inch. It goes to a 16 and not 16.
Yes, yes.
So my thought is maybe we could go with whoever this is and upsize like we did Huck's Grove, change and maybe run a 16 all the way down there to what we're going to tie in with GMC.
Yeah, the only thing that might help is if they did a mile of 12 or 16, basically, Roger, if you remember, that mile straight north of 104th has no water line on it. And as a crow flies, we're just a little over a mile from that booster station. So the only thing that would help a little bit is that. Now, we didn't really look at that as part of our long range because that's not much of a long range, because that whole booster station feeds Mustang, Yukon. It's got 3 200-horse pumps, and they run 24/7. So, there's not much as far as supplying a 20-year demand out of that thing.
We already have a 16 under the river, right? 16-inch under the river.
18 holding up.
It's an 18-inch poly under the river. But it's basically just under the river.
Yeah. If we can upsize, we could possibly move more.
So it's tough to want to spend very much money there if you can't get over to somewhere else that gets you, we're looking at needing 8 million gallons a day in 30, 40 years. And that's not part of it. That's not part of it.
What direction and or decisions do we need to make tonight in order to pass on, if necessary, to?
I think between city engineer and our project manager and our city attorney, they can craft the appropriate response to protest against this particular PUD application. I don't hear from our city engineer that there are any easily accessible engineering solutions that would make a long-term difference for Blanchard and Tuttle and Newcastle south of the river from this that it's just going to hurt everybody. So I think the appropriate thing would be for the council to direct staff to make that protest the appropriate response. I think we put in here to the city of Oklahoma City and hope that they hear that.
For the meeting is a week from Thursday?
It's yes.
Are we going to have a representative there?
I'm sure Mr. Downey would love to go to that meeting.
As long as it is not our planning commission's meeting date, I'll be glad to attend.
One thing I would bring up is I have sat through numerous meetings with Oklahoma City's engineering department, their planning department and development department have sat in on it, as well as their consulting engineer. They know that's a water problem, not only for us, but for them. They know that's a water problem down there. So I think I don't want to, don't get me wrong, we need to write a letter of protest on this, but they've got to already know that you can't do that. Now, that being said, there's 700 plus houses on fairly new lots down there. We need to make sure we keep an eye out for more of this.
There's a brand new subdivision that's at Council and 119th.
Yes.
That's the one that they're proposing to drag water from.
Yeah, and I estimated 150 houses in there.
That is your planning commission. That is your planning commission night.
We will figure out how to make sure that the city of Blanchard is represented at the City of Oklahoma City Planning Commission meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we start to
Draft
staff
letter.
to prepare that response. Okay, motion by Councilor and second by Councilor Short.
Yeah, again, Dustin, I'm sorry I misled you on the phone. It sounded, I was hopeful that, we get a little additional supply.
Hey, we got to try.
Brandon Alley,
Yes.
Christina Short,
Yes.
Ben Witt, Chuck Kemper.
Yes, ma'am.
And Michael Scow.
Yes. Okay. Next item is item Section C, items 1 through 11 on the consent agenda.
I guess those changes are made in item 1.
I
Anyone-
can't hear it.
Anything that needs to be pulled out on that?
Did you pull something out, Ben?
I hadn't touched it.
They asked you to hold something out of the consent.
No.
Good.
So moved.
Second.
By Christina, and second by Kemper.
Ben Witt,
Yes, ma'am.
Brandon Alley,
Yes.
Christina Short,
Yes.
Chuck Kimber,
Yep.
and Michael Scout.
Yes. All right, item, nothing for item D. Item E is public comments, and we have no one signed in. So item F, staff or council comments.
Are we ready?
Would you have Chris?
I've got one.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so just an update on what we talked about with the Amazon lockers. I talked to Yesway, that's the parent company of Allsups. I talked to their senior manager of merchandising and procurement. He said, oh, heck yeah, let's do this. He understands it's going to bring him business as well. He's the one that initiated contact with Amazon. He said, I've got a copy of the email he sent directly to Amazon, their person that they'll make a determination. They're going to, of course, run the analytics, see if there's an actual need. Then they will see, if there is a need, they'll see how big a one. Then they'll see what kind of power source they'll need for that. Some of them come solar, some of them come needing 110. Most likely, according to the Yesway guy, he thought it'd probably be solar out here. Shouldn't be a problem with that. So should know something in probably 2 to 3 weeks from now, hopefully by next council.
Great job.
Great for pursuing that. Great for pursuing that.
Mr. Mayor, if I may. Mr. Wittenbach, would you come to the podium, please?
I'm almost out of here.
Sir, well done.
Oh, thank you. Oh, you got me, okay.
We have not heard the final numbers from Placer, have we?
I have a meeting with them 10:30 tomorrow. We do know the numbers, 1,000 square foot of
Ace,
A hardware,
yeah.
which is 11,700, but I'm hopeful and I'm thinking,
Over, under, I'm going 25.
do what?
25 total.
I'm thinking closer to 30.
No,
We
over,
were
under.
at 24 last year, so,
That's amazing.
Yes, yeah.
thank you. And thank you for making it possible.
Thanks for your hard work, sir. Thank you. All right, a couple of things I want to just to announce on the a week from tonight, the 21st, is the second town hall meeting that will be held at the Pioneer Library for discussion on the penny sales tax renewal that is being put in front of the voters for August 25th. That will not be a council meeting that night. And so Chuck and I will be there as part of the Citizens Committee, and the Citizens Committee will be there, but that will be the only 2 people represented from council, so you won't have to attend. Tyler, we have that. And then we had a tentative workshop scheduled for July 28th, 2 weeks from tonight, and that has been canceled for the 28th. It will be postponed and rescheduled at a later date. So take that off our immediate schedule. So does there anybody else have anything?
The Main Street, Oklahoma, reached out to the committee and said, we have a small business tools seminar that we would like to host in Blanchard free of charge. Farm Bureau is picking up the bill. That is actually going to be the night of the 28th, or the evening of the 28th at the Pioneer Library. The chamber is putting out information on that. The goal for them is to bring state agencies and local businesses together, and for anybody that currently has a business that is looking to expand it, who wants more information, entrepreneurs who want to get more involved, just bringing all the parties. They are not just promoted Farm Bureau and the state are promoting it as well, and not just in our area. Their goal, they only put on, I think, 5 a year. And so their goal is to promote it in all of the areas around here and bring it in. And I believe that the chamber is promoting it inside all of her chambers in the area. So that will also be happening at the library the evening of.
Would it be possible for the planning and permitting staff from Blanchard to be able to participate in that so that?
Anybody can have a table.
We are already anticipating doing that. We had conversation about it today. We intend to be there in full force.
They encourage the city of, the hosting city, they encourage them to have.
Excellent.
Okay, awesome. That is great. Great news too. All right, does anyone else have anything?
Farmers Market's doing good. I think we got every tent out, and then we had to steal a couple more Saturday.
Borrow, not steal. We gave them back.
As long as the wind and the rain doesn't keep tearing tents up, right?
Yeah, well, we had to borrow 2 of Chris's parts to put up for some of the vendors for last Saturday.
We are purchasing more.
I'm sure that falls, that's out of our pockets, well within our deductible, so. Anyway, awesome. Okay, we have an executive session on the schedule, so I would entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Second.
All right.
Ben Witt,
Yes, ma'am.
Christina Short.
Yes.
Brandon Alley.
Yes.
Chuck Kemper.
Yes, ma'am.
And Michael Scow.
Yes. Okay. It is 8:05, and we are going into executive session.
Yeah, take care of that.
This is going to be fun. This is the second time in about a year that I've been in the protesting side of the voting. Is it though? The other one I was getting on behalf of my church. I know the transportation plan.
Okay. I'm gonna tell them the same thing. We were throwing around businesses and things like that. We gotta be careful now.
I try to be.
No, you were right. That's why I didn't answer.
It'll take 2 years for you to respond.
He'll start the paperwork.
Yeah, when you look at me, I'm not saying that.
I don't know what you're talking about. Like the ones like this are having.
Thanks, Chad.
Well, I'll call him and see what you discussed.
Get a little clarification from you.
Thank you, Roger.
I gotta talk to Mayor, he's gonna get this.
They got me to be good. I know that deal.
I've been informed by people in the audience that we can take care of that cut.
25, and what, how that would describe that second, I think you said from on Christmas, from 76 to.
I have a citizen complain about your cut.
Drive changing this truck.
Yeah.
No, it's not like they're gonna make it.
It's about 14.
Have
It does, because it's all tied up and it goes to, basically right under her desk, or maybe Coleman's, is the snake.
Still need that?
We'll get the necessary, in fact, if you want to take this mic with you now, you just.
Do you think that big enough?
Yeah, so.
I was listening to it most.
See you, Michael.
Thank you.
All right, it is 9:01 PM, and we are returned from executive session. And Audra, the standard statement is, and
No action was taken in executive session.
that was discussed. Okay. Got it? And we stand adjourned.